Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal. In this edition, I take a solo trip deep into the remote San Mateo wilderness and spend the night at historic Fisherman's Camp along the San Mateo Creek. Now, Clary Estes on peakvisor.com did a lot of research into the San Mateo wilderness, and I found it pretty fascinating. Here's just a little bit of it. The San Mateo Canyon wilderness is a rare and pristine 37,000-acre wilderness located in the Santa Ana Mountains in Cleveland National Forest in Riverside County, California. This relatively untouched chaparral and coastal sage-dominated landscape is one of the best places to beat the pace of city life, and its diverse landscape is perfect for birdwatching, hiking, horseback riding, and hunting. The San Mateo Canyon Wilderness is also home to 139 bird species, 37 mammal species, 46 reptile and amphibian species, and believe it or not, 7 species of fish. It's common to hear a multitude of bird songs in the canyon, and I can vouch for that one. It sounds like you're inside an aviary. You can also see a variety of scat from coyotes to skunks to bobcats and even a mountain lion. A variety of frogs chirp throughout the San Mateo Creek region, and at dusk it reminded me of the bayou in Disneyland's Start of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. It's also common to see field mice, quail, doves, Steller's jays, or western fence lizards, among others, during a day hike. The canyon is also home to a diversity of microclimates as you move up and down the canyon. Often damp and cool in the canyon regions in the morning, the canyon quickly warms up as you hike up its dynamic topography to around one of the 4 main peaks. Its namesake, San Mateo Peak, I did that one a little while ago, Sitten Peak, another recent episode of the journal, and Elsinore Peak, well, that's just a fire road to some communication towers. And of course there's Miller Peak, but there's not actually a trail to the summit of this one. Many deep drainages hide a lush growth of vegetation, with oak woodlands thick in the lower elevation and a ton of poison oak. Spring brings with it a wildflower bloom, and on my journey I saw wildflowers of blue, yellow, orange, and red. Summers tend to be very hot and dry here, though you'll probably still find pools of water in the San Mateo Canyon Creek most of the year. Well, hello and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today I'm going to be heading down the trail to Fisherman's Camp in the San Mateo Wilderness. It's off of Tanaha Road and the Cleveland National Forest Road. I guess you would consider this either Murrieta or Wildomar in Riverside County. And we're going to be heading down this way right here. It's a short hike as far as hikes go. It's only going to be about a mile and a half to get to Fisherman's Camp. I don't know if that's going to be my official destination for tonight. It might be. If I find a nice spot with 2 good trees to hang my hammock, I'll camp there. So it looks like I got the place to myself, at least from this direction. There is 2 other directions. One's at Tanaha Trail, which is up the road, and the other one is the San Mateo Creek Trail down by the Tanaha Falls. So there's 2 other directions you could take to get to this same location of Fisherman's Camp. And there's even more than that if you consider any places off of the Blue Water Trail, but that's more remote and most people don't do that. So today, hopefully, I'll have the place to myself. I'm going to be spending the night. I've got my Savoda Jacari pack loaded up for an overnight adventure. It's not really an overnight pack, it's a day pack, but I've got it loaded down pretty good. It's going to be a good test of the Savoda pack. And I'm a little nervous, to be honest with you. I'm a little nervous. There's a lot of rattlesnakes. In fact, the girl that just came up with her dog said she heard one on the trail as she was walking up. And there's also a lot of mountain lions up here. And I just saw a post, I don't know how long ago it was. I just happened to notice it yesterday. It was a video that a hiking guy took at the junction of the San Mateo Creek and the Blue Water Trail, which is kind of near where I'm going. And it was just the head of a 6-point buck that had been attacked and eaten by a mountain lion. So it was just the head and part of the carcass. And he titled his video, Mountain Lion Feeding Zone, down here in the San Mateo Wilderness. So that's where I'm going to be camping the night, with the mountain lions and the rattlesnakes. Anyway, let's head on down the trail. You know, I'm about ready to start down the trail to Fisherman's Camp and the San Mateo Wilderness. And I happened to come over here to the edge actually to take a leak, which is kind of funny. And I thought this was the perfect example of the differences between oak brush and poison oak. This stuff right here is oak. It's from an oak tree. It's oak brush. That stuff right there is poison oak. That's leaves of 3, let it be. And you can see how the poison oak is intertwined with the regular oak. So that's poison oak. And yet, here's regular oak. So this you can touch, that you can't. Something to keep in mind. Well, just like there was at the other trailhead, you sign in here at the San Mateo Canyon Wilderness. I did that already. And in case you forget, there's another sign as we head down the trails as a reminder, no campfires. Next to the nice yucca that's almost in bloom. Well, I'm heading down the trail to Fisherman's Camp. From the Fisherman's Camp trailhead in the San Mateo Canyon Wilderness. Just talked to a young girl who was with her dog, a cute little Aussie, Australian Shepherd, about the same coloring as ours. And she said it was really nice down there, and she did hear one rattlesnake rattle as she walked by, but it was off the trail, so she felt okay going around it. And we'll see if he's still lying in wait for me when I come by. It's only about a mile from the trailhead to the camp, so ought to be an easy hike as we head down into the San Mateo Canyon Wilderness. It's actually really pretty today. It rained yesterday. I was here last week. I was going to do this last week, but it was just too hot. It was almost 90, and today when I got to the trailhead it was 55. What a difference a week makes, huh? Anyway, I can see the trail in front of me as it's cut into the side of the ridge line. Looks like it's going to be a nice path today. Well, from just a few feet down the trail, I come to a pretty good overlook already. You can see where my trail is going. It's cut along the side of the hillside there. And the San Mateo Canyon is down below me. The falls, if you're interested, Tanaha Falls, is off to the right in the gap between the mountain that's in front of me and the far pointy one. But we're not going that way. The San Mateo Creek flows from right to left as it heads down that direction. That's where we're going to be eventually here in a little bit. Looks like the wildflowers have started to come out. There's a little bit of everything here today. We got a little bit of color, a little bit of white. Looks like we've got some yellow and orange as well. A little bit of blue. I might have timed this hike just about right. Way better than last week, that's for sure. And it looks like the yuccas have started to bloom. It's going to make it extra special this week if you're coming out this direction. And here's one that's not quite ready yet. It's getting there. Maybe another week. And here we've come across some sage. You can smell it. Of course, it smells like DEET to me because I just put DEET on, but anyway, I'm out in the sun and the breeze has stopped. Makes a big difference. It's actually hot right here. Well, the wind has stopped and now it's getting hot. I'm in direct sun now. It's about 1:30 or so. So you can see the road that heads down to the falls. In fact, you can see the green trees down below. That's San Mateo Creek. And at the confluence, the head of the valley right there, that's where the falls are. And in fact, to the left down here, you can actually see the trail. That's part of the San Mateo Creek Trail. But I'm not heading down that way. I'm going to the left here. Working my way to Fisherman's Camp in the heat. Well, as the trail heads to the west, if you look down there, you'll see all those green trees. I believe that's Fisherman's Camp. You'll see a little bit of brown where the trail drops down from where I'm at now. It switchbacks down to the green section down there, and to the right is where the San Mateo Creek comes in. That's going to be my eventual destination tonight. Well, you do have a pretty good overview of where I'm heading. You can see the trail heading down toward San Mateo Creek. You can see how it kind of meanders down along that ridge line and ends up at the confluence where those trees are. And in fact, check that out. How exactly did a car get down there? Now, this used to be a path. This used to be a road in the 1950s that went to Fisherman's Camp. So that car has got to be from that era. You know, I went around to the head of that canyon and that ravine, that draw back there, looking for a most likely spot where that vehicle could have went down the side. And you can't even see even a likely spot where that vehicle went down into that ravine. So when you see the width of the trail behind me, you can tell that obviously vehicles have not been down this road in probably 70 years. And if there was indication where it went over the side at one point, it's long been reclaimed by nature. Brush has grown back around it. I couldn't tell. And in fact, from the trail, you can't even see the vehicle. In fact, if I wouldn't have noticed it on that one spot that I was at, I never would have known. Anyway, we're getting there. I can see the trail in front of me there, heading down into the canyon. Hopefully I'll find a good spot for my hammock. As I'm working my way down the slope toward Fisherman's Camp, it's quite a bit more narrow through here. I'm having to lift my arms up to get through the brush, and I am swiping alongside some of the scratchy brush, but I did wear pants today rather than shorts, more because of the poison oak than the scratchy brush, but it's coming in handy. But the one reason I don't like to wear pants is because they just don't breathe as well as shorts, and they especially don't breathe as well as a kilt. And if it would have been for the scratchy brush and the poison oak and the biting flies I'll probably get later tonight, I would have worn a kilt. But anyway, I'm getting there. I'm probably less than a half mile from camp. You know, as I'm heading down toward Fisherman's Camp, it's getting quite a bit more brushy, and it's actually getting pretty warm down here. Even though we do have clouds, what little shade I do get feels great. And so far, I've been lucky. I haven't seen any rattlesnakes yet. Maybe because this portion of the trail is more sun exposed and there's no water that's readily available for them to drink. I'm a little worried about Fisherman's Camp though, because I know the water's not that far away, and I've seen video of rattlesnakes at Fisherman's Camp. So I'll just have to keep my eyes open. In fact, in front of me down there, the end of this long straightaway, looks like the trees and maybe Fisherman's Camp. You know, as I'm working my way down the trail on this side of the slope, it's definitely much hotter and drier, and the brush has encroached on the trail a little bit more, and I'm definitely sweating now. You know, we do have a pretty good cloud cover, but of course it's not over me right now. And so far, so good on the rattlesnakes. I haven't seen any yet, but I still got a little ways to go. I imagine because I'm up here in a more drier slope, there's no water readily available for them to drink. So my guess is they're probably down toward Fisherman's camp. You can see my trail right there. I'm assuming, actually, that's probably the upper trail from San Mateo Creek. It probably meets down there, Fisherman's camp. Well, here's our first sign, San Mateo Canyon Trail, 0.1 to Fisherman's Camp. So we're less than 1/10 of a mile to Fisherman's Camp's down there. And just past that sign right there, it says 1.6 to the road. It says San Mateo Canyon 2.0 to Tanaja Falls Trailhead. Well, this is Fisherman's Camp, and what I did was I came down that slope, the dry arid slope. I crossed the creek a little farther to the left, came up this way. I think at one point this must have been the Fisherman's Camp sign, but of course there's tons of poison oak here, and you have a need for a reminder of what it looks like. It's flourishing here, and I was a little worried that this was going to be my hammock spot right here. I could have, and I guess technically I still could, hang one end over on that side and one end on this side, and but in the middle there's no real poison oak right here. There is a few little remnant pieces down at the bottom, but check this out. I went up this little slope right here, and of course there's poison oak all over the place up here. I was worried I was going to have to hang my hammock over a field of poison oak. Check this out. I dropped my pack over there. What a perfect spot. I can hang my hammock in about one of 3 different places. I can go from that tree to that tree. I go from this fat one to this fat one. Well, that's really about the only place. And I guess technically I could go from this tree right here directly across to this tree, even though there is some, actually that's not poison oak, but I think I've already found my spot. I think it's going to be right here. It'll be a perfect spot. Well, this is my setup for tonight here at Fisherman's Camp. I have my old Hennessy Expedition ASIM hammock. I had this for 15 years probably. It's has the factory tarp today. I have a big 10 by 10 or 9 by 12 catenary cut tarp that I use when I'm expecting inclement weather, but today, I don't think it's going to rain. And this ought to be ample for what minuscule amount of rain that we do get. If we get any at all, it'll be a light drizzle. Anyway, I got the hammock set up between these 2 trees. Originally, I had a little shorter hang, but it wasn't quite long enough to get a decent pitch, so I had to kind of go past the tree I was originally planning on, and I had to go to the tree next to it, which means that my tarp doesn't lay exactly how I like it, but I think for today it's going to be fine just to keep the dew off of me. And I've got my hammock gear underquilt. It's a 20-degree underquilt. It's going to get down to about 45 tonight or so, 42, maybe a little lower. I ought to be fine with this 3/4 length underquilt. Also got just a U.S. Army patrol bag. It's rated for about 40 or 50 degrees. I think that's all I'm going to need. And I've also got my Trekology pillow that I don't go anywhere without. I actually need a pillow even in the hammock because my neck gets kind of crooked even with a diagonal lay. You can lay pretty flat, but I still have to have something for my head. Anyway, this is my setup for today here at Fisherman's Camp. This is a great spot. There's no poison oak around me. There are some on the sides. I just got to stay away from it. And I got a great view of the creek. Down here is dry, but I do have a great view. So anybody coming into camp, either from the Tanaja Trail or up from the creek, or actually from the way I came, I'll have a great view of them. And then if somebody wants to join me, there's plenty of tent campsites down below. They're more than welcome to them. So There is a great spot to sit over here for just to enjoy camp life. It looks like there's some big rocks, like maybe they might have had a fire ring at one time, and the National Forest scattered them so you wouldn't get any ideas, because there are no fires allowed here. But it's only 3:30. It doesn't get dark till like 7:30, so I got 4 hours to kill. So I might go explore down the creek a bit once camp's set up, and go see how far I got to go to get to water. I've got 2 liters of water plus an ice cold refreshment I'm going to crack here in a minute. But in the meantime, I might tidy up around camp and then head over to the creek to see how far it is. I don't have to worry about bears here. There's no bear canisters. I don't have to worry about anything. But I am going to secure the food because I don't want squirrels or mice getting into it. So I will do that. But it's a little chilly right now. It's out probably, I'm going to say low 50s, mid 50s maybe. And in the shade, it feels a little cooler. So I might have to put on my jacket here in a minute. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my spot here tonight, I think. We're at Fisherman's Camp. Well, I've got about a half mile from camp, and it looks like this is continuing up and around the head of San Mateo Creek, which is not where I wanted to go. There was an additional camp that's around the bend there. That was my alternate campsite, but I've already established camp back there. So I'm going to head back to camp and try a different direction. See if I get close to the water. The creek is down there, but it looks really dry. So we'll see if we can find some water somewhere. I've got 2 liters, so I'm good, but it'd be nice to take a swig or 2 and then refill this canteen. Well, you know, if you thought you were gonna go to Fisherman's Camp and have easy access to the water, you're sadly mistaken, because if where I was camped, this Fisherman's Camp, I've been hiking down this trail, which actually says it goes back to Tanaha Falls. Been hiking for, I don't know, 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. And there is poison oak everywhere. This looks like this could be the creek. There's a red tag hanging in the tree. I don't know what that means. Hopefully I didn't brush up against any poison oak while I was plowing through the brush. That's just a lizard. I'm going to explore down here for a little bit. See if I can find some water. Well, this might be it. I do have a filter. You can always take a few sips here, and looks like somebody built a rock cairn over there. There's a little more water this way. There might be a pool over there. Let's go check that out. Well, it looks like there's a trail crossing right there. There's a little bit of a pool right here. Water doesn't look too bad. Looks like there's also another pool over there. There's several, it looks like. And there is water in here. Believe it or not, back in the day, steelhead trout lived in this canyon. I don't think they do now. But I think this is worthy of taking a big swig out of my canteen and refilling it. You know, for the most part, this water actually looks pretty clear. I'd rather have it running, but I'll take it because I am going to boil this. When I get back to camp, I'm going to boil this water and or at least run it through my bee-free filter just to make sure. I should have brought that down here with me, and I could have filled that up as well, but just thought it'd be enough to get me through the night. I can always come down here in the morning and top off where I head back up. Well, I'm just kicking back here at Fisherman's Camp, and I brought something with me today to help with the hydration. It's, if you're going to be out in the woods and you're going to go to a place by yourself where there's mountain lions and rattlesnakes and all kinds of dangerous things that could inflict injury to you while you're out here sleeping in your hammock. I don't have to worry about bears, but what about a Yeti? This is a Yeti Imperial Stout from Great Divide Brewery. And if you like stout beers, this is one of my all-time favorites. And of course, now it comes in a can. And it's got great graphics of a Bigfoot in the trees, probably in the Pacific Northwest somewhere. So what could be a better place than in the woods to enjoy your Yeti Imperial Stout? Hopefully, hasn't gotten too shaken up on the hike out today. I wish you could see the color. It's a nice dark chocolate brown. That's really good. If you haven't tried the Yeti Imperial Stout from Great Divide, you owe it to yourself to try it, especially when you're camping. Anyway, I'm going to take a few minutes here, relax, enjoy the hammock, enjoy the shade, and a great cool breeze here at Fisherman's Camp in the San Mateo Wilderness. Well, I'm just hanging out here having my my Yeti Imperial Stout and eating my salami. And I got a text message or a message through InReach from my wife. I only live maybe 25 miles from here. And she said, just be careful because she's heard some thunder and she might have saw a flash of lightning. She wasn't sure. Just be careful. And I'm pretty well sequestered here in the trees. And I do have this tarp that I can guy out a little tighter if I need to. But there are some clouds overhead, but for the most part, it's pretty clear. And I don't think we're going to get any rain tonight. So in the meantime, I'm just going to relax here and camp, have my salami, and enjoy this peace and tranquility at Fisherman's Camp. This is actually a really nice spot. There is a ton of poison oak around here, so you have to really be careful. When they say active avoidance, they mean it. Just in a little jaunt, 5-minute walk from here to that water pool where I filtered, I must have passed 10 spots where I had to turn sideways or step over poison oak that was growing onto the trail and the path. And there's also probably a section that is probably knee-high in grass, and it's probably about 4 inches wide. So you're plowing through it, with pants on, and if there's ticks out there, they're going to hitch a ride. And if there's any rattlesnakes that are hiding in the weeds, hopefully you'll know it before you get to them, because that's the perfect spot for them. It's close enough to the water for them, and there's plenty of places for them to hide out in the weeds and the grass and just wait for an unsuspecting rodent or a bunny or whatever, a squirrel to come by, and easy meal for the rattlesnakes. So a couple times I've heard things in the brush. I believe it's probably just lizards going over the leaf litter. I just heard it was probably a mourning dove, but I couldn't really tell. It might have been an owl, I'm not sure. I haven't heard it since. So maybe tonight we'll get some activity. It'd be nice to see a deer maybe come through camp, or a coyote maybe. I don't have to take any bear precautions. Yeah, it sounds like a dove. But just to be safe, I am going to take all of my food and I'm going to hang it from my hammock ridge line a little farther away. Or maybe I'll put it up on a notch in a tree. I do have some, about 100-foot hank of tarred bank line. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just make a little impromptu bear hang here just to keep my food off the ground, to keep the rodents out of it. But anyway, it looks like it's going to be a nice night. Well, you know, I got this water down by the creek, and I'm going to boil some of this water to get it purified. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this old cook set that I found at a thrift store. This is an old camping gas canister, and what I have in it is, you guys are going to get a kick out of this. This is an old Surveyor 123 camping stove. And these stoves date back, oh, I couldn't even tell you, 50 years, 100 years, I don't know. And this one is a really old one. This one has the straight, well, it's at an angle, I guess. The newer ones have a straighter nozzle to turn it on, and they have a different key. Got this at an antique store, and it was about I think $12. They sold it as a burner. I don't think they really knew what it was. It was in with the tools. If you've never used one of these Surveyor 123s, it burns white gas, and you have to prime it first, which is kind of a pain because it's not pressurized. It's not like your MSR Dragonfly or your MSR stoves. You have to actually prime this stove before you use it. You got to heat it up enough to where it vaporizes the fuel. And I'm gonna put a windscreen on this real quick just so I can, this way you can see it at least, where it rolls away. Gonna let this prime for a few minutes. I might have to close this off just so the wind doesn't blow it out. Once it gets going, I'll turn it back on so you can see what I mean. They've used these in Everest. These things have been around a long time. You know, while I was waiting for this thing to prime, I was getting a little cold. The wind started to pick up. Anyway, it's going now. I'll probably have to close it up here in a second, put the windscreen back on, but in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of that unfiltered water from the creek into this camping gas container. I'm only going to put enough in there for coffee. That's all I need. It's not time for dinner yet. The main thing to remember when you're using these stoves is they take a while to prime, and they're not the fastest burning. A lot of times, you know, people get hooked up on how long it takes to boil water. 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. You know, jet boils, they boil 16 ounces of water in something ridiculous, like a minute and a half. This doesn't do that. This is more of a relaxing thing to do. It's takes a few minutes longer to boil than what you're used to, but to me, it's worth it. I mean, the sound that this makes, the sputtering sound, is something people have come to know and love with the Surveyor 123 stove. They're reliable as all get out. You won't find a stove basically more reliable than this. There's not a lot of moving parts. In fact, this one, the older version, doesn't even have the needle that goes in and out when you turn the valve. The newer ones, they have a valve that when you rotate the key, the needle goes in and out of the thread and makes the jet clean. And from what I was told, it doesn't work as well as some of the older ones. I don't have a date on this stove, but my guess is it's probably mid-60s. I'm imagining somewhere around there. It could even be older than that, I'm not sure. But once this gets to a full rolling boil, it'll be safe to drink. And then I'm going to pour it in my cooksa, and I'm going to have some of this Trader Joe's instant coffee. And maybe I'll even have a coffee crisp. This is a nod to Shug. You know who Shug is on the Hammock forums. He lives on these things, these coffee crisp. And I found that World Market by my house actually sells these. And they're actually pretty good. So I'm going to have a little bit of coffee and a coffee crisp as a pre-dinner snack. while I'm chilling here in camp, in Fisherman's Camp in the San Mateo Wilderness. Meantime, I just gotta wait for this to boil. You know, wouldn't you know it, it's starting to rain. just a little bit is starting to sprinkle. This is getting hot. In fact, right now it's at a full rolling boil. It's the one thing that they don't tell you in the Surveyor 123 school is to turn the key or take the key with you, because this key gets really hot. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. It's at a full rolling boil right now. So I'm going to go ahead and make my Trader Joe's instant coffee. I'm going to have to put the camera gear under my tarp under my neck. As it's raining on me pretty good here. Hold on a second. Okay, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these before. These are Kniper, little mini adjustable wrenches. These things are awesome, and they're perfect as pot grip. So I want to pour some of this boiling water in here in my cooksa, and make me some Trader Joe's coffee. As I sit here in the rain, I guess I'm going to have to move my camera gear under my hammock tarp. I took my rain gear. I always bring rain gear. I don't care what the weather says. I always bring a rain shell. I covered my pack with the rain shell. So I'm gonna take my cooksa full of my Trader Joe's coffee and my coffee crisp, and I'm gonna go sit in a hammock and get out of the rain for a bit. It's raining here at Fisherman's Camp. It's okay, I just covered my pack with my rain gear. I should be good. The other stuff that's sitting out, it's just my stove. That should be fine. And my hammock is fine. It's underneath the tarp here, so I'm going to chill out here and have my coffee and my coffee crisp and listen to the rain here at Fisherman's Camp. Have a nice little pleasant surprise, huh? Little afternoon thunder shower here at Fisherman's Camp. I guess I was lucky I put my tarp up. It's enough to keep the rain off of me and keep my camera gear dry. I have my pack covered up with my rain gear, so it's not raining that hard. It's not enough to make mud puddles or anything like that, so it's actually pretty peaceful right now. If you never tried the Trader Joe's instant coffee, it's actually pretty good. If you like, cream and sugar already in it. If you like your coffee black, then you're better off with something else. They might have a unsweetened version. I'm not really sure. My wife said that the thunder and the lightning must have been coming up from her direction, so it must be coming up, boiling up from the south. Normally rain at our house comes from the north and heads south, and this one must be swirling in through Oceanside and up through Fallbrook and eventually to Temecula, and then it's working its way north. So I'm just going to sit here and enjoy my coffee crisp, and who knows, maybe I'll even take a nap. Now that it's raining, I really don't expect to see any other hikers. I don't expect any other backpackers to be coming out here. I'm pretty much prepared for just about anything. I mean, I have rain gear all the time. I have water. I have means to filter water. I have shelter. I have warm clothing. I can pretty much withstand just about anything. I'm good to probably 25 degrees tonight or so. I know it's not going to get much below 45, but It's always good to be prepared, you know. The only thing that worries me a little bit is mountain lions. I have to be honest with you, especially after I saw that video of the mountain lion kill. And it wasn't just a small little fawn. This was a 6-point buck that was basically decapitated by this mountain lion, and his old guts are ripped out, and it was just the head and antlers left. And the mountain lions are out here, and what a lot of people don't know is they have a 100-mile radius. So just because they're 30 miles away or 5 miles away doesn't mean they can't be in your camp. At least I don't think they're attracted to food smells like bears. You know, you can't leave your food sitting out. I don't think mountain lions are like that. So I'm just going to eat my coffee crisp and have my coffee, and anyways, maybe I'll take a nap. Well, thanks for watching this part 1 of my San Mateo Canyon wilderness adventure in my overnight backpack trip to Fisherman's Camp. I didn't realize I had recorded that much video. It was over an hour and a half long. And I decided to split this up into 2 episodes. So this is going to be the end of part 1. And part 2 is going to follow probably in about a week. And that'll be my overnight experience at Fisherman's Camp in the San Mateo Wilderness. And in the meantime, I got to head out to the garage in a few minutes. And I got to get my stuff ready for tomorrow's adventure, which is going to be hopefully my summit of Margarita Peak, which is at the southern end of the Santa Margarita Mountains, and it's basically the top of Camp Pendleton. So from the top of that peak, I ought to be able to see the Pacific Ocean and, of course, all of Riverside to the east. And then just a few miles north of that is the Margarita Lookout Site. It's a 4-wheel drive truck trail that goes up to the top to the site of an old remaining fire tower. A military helicopter crashed into it in the 1980s, I believe, and it was never rebuilt. So there's also a geocache up there, so I'm going to do that. That'll be tomorrow. But in the meantime, I got to finish the video here. I got to finish getting my stuff ready for tomorrow's adventure up to Margarita Peak. But anyway, stay tuned for part 2. That'll be up in about another week. Take care.